This is a video that I've had in mind for quite some time, and realistically, I wanted to show you the true reality of not just recommissioning, rebuilding a car from the state that I found Project Beatrix in. If you've watched every episode since the first, if you haven't, please do so. To the state that the car is now in, which is a running car with an MOT in really good condition, really tidy condition, rust protected. It's had all the bits done that it needs to be done. There are a few long-term jobs of which we are going to do very shortly, but I wanted to add up the bill, and it has come to a rather high number. And this is the reality of restoring a car. Now, a first pointer before I start reading off this list, because this is going to be probably quite a big list. I'm going to list what that item cost. Now, pretty much everything I've done except the wheel refurbishment, which cost £165 all in. Everything I have done. I have not paid a garage to do any of my work. I've not paid any other specialist to carry out any form of work on this car. It's as simple as that. The car didn't even need a head skim, so I haven't even paid for that. Um, Everything I've bought is from, as I say, everything I've done is without the labour costs. It is purely the amount of hours that I've put into the car. And quite frankly, if I was adding it up at £45 an hour labour, I dread it. I haven't kept count of the amount of hours I've put on the car, but it could easily run into £10,000–15,000 worth of man time. And that is everything down from rebuilding the head to wet sanding the bodywork, which took an awful lot of time, and most of it was done off camera because of how time consuming it was and how much I had to concentrate. This stuff is not cheap, and this is why detailing head gasket builds, they are expensive. Rust proofing is expensive because of the amount of time and preparation that is needed. I've done it all myself. So the total bill is exactly what it is. It is purely parts alone. And I have included the cost of buying the car in the first place. So buying the car and recovery. Okay. So that is a total of, we'll start off with the actual cost of the car, which was £450. That's what I paid for the car. And the recovery was £40. Okay. So we are £490 in. Let's go from there. Right, here we go. So in no particular order, although I will say some of the first items on the list were the first ones I did actually buy for the car. And that is a new key fob case, a cheap aftermarket replacement for £6 because the buttons had worn. There were literally holes in the original one. It wasn't very nice. I actually had to use my key to get the actual sensor buttons inside the electronic part. A Haynes manual, which was £8. A handbook, the original handbook that you would have had from new, £10. That was a second-hand one. And then also some new key batteries, which is really important with the Petron fobs, because you don't want a flat battery, because otherwise you're going to have to use the EKA code to get in. And they are CR2032 Duracell batteries for £2. It's already mounting up, isn't it? And next we have the BW750 elastomer gasket, as appropriate for 90% of K-Series engines, unless it's been rebuilt. This was from Discount MG Rover Spares for £23. And also, which came with it, was the higher tensile stretch bolts. Now, most kits will come with these bolts now. They are 10.8, I think, instead of the 9.5 or something like that. And they cost £42. And again, they were from Discount MG Rover Spares, which I got the head gasket from. The next on the list at the same time was the uprated strengthened oil rail, which I considered to be a very good item to buy, considering I had to take the sump off anyway, to actually do a proper job on this. and that was £50, which was actually quite a reasonable price considering they can go for about 65, 70, especially from the specialists. The next in the list of the rebuild, particularly the engine side, was the inlet manifold gasket. Really important to replace because you can lose coolant from these when the seals get old in the older ones. So I considered, since I was getting the inlet off, replace it anyway. £4. The exhaust gasket at the same time, £7. A new thermostat, as per the course, just change it. The old one actually was stuck shut, which was a bit concerning because I thought maybe it has overheated a bit then. 82-degree thermostat, £13. Also at the same time, gates, timing belt and water pump kit, £80. I only go to gates. The fuel filter was £9. Although considering the original one that I bought was actually 40, I had to go and buy another one. But I got my money back, so it is £9. The rear brake pads were £9. The rear brake calipers that had seized, I had to buy new ones, £85 for both of them. The brake slider pins at the front, £12. The front brake calipers, £72. Power steering fluid, £8. Power steering belt at the same time, £9. Spark plugs, £20. Rocker cover gasket, £13. OA2 coolant, £15 for 5 litres. Good deal that. Oil and filter, £27. Of which I may be doing so again very shortly. And then we started getting into some random stuff. The CVT fluid, the EZL799 fluid from Westway, £43. 2 second-hand vents. They were second-hand ones in good condition. The vents that break on the dashboard because they're made of paper, £30 for both of them. The cabin filter was £8. A new driver's door switch was £23 because I thought there was a bit of a problem with the alarm. It may not have been the problem, but at the same time, it was good to change it because that's the most worn one, as always, on the car. Bosch wiper blades, £11. The front ones, that is. The rear wiper blade, £7. Rear washer nozzle, second hand, £10 to replace the missing one that somebody I think stole. A brand new 063 Yuasa battery, very good battery, £63. I was very pleased with the price of that. Exhaust rubber, £8 to replace one of the middle box ones, which was an aftermarket one, and it had gone so hard. Oh, it was horrible. I don't know why they replaced just one and not both, because the other one was original. A new rear left-hand door handle. That was the Chinese built one the Polish built one for £21. Plus a new left-hand front door handle for £30 because that snapped as well. Starlight MBB silver and lacquer to go with it to respray all these door handles and some bits underneath, £36 because there was 2 cans of this I needed. And then we went on to the fan temperature switch, which was brand new, £10. The wiring as well to come with it because there was a broken wire. The temperature gauge sensor, I thought I'd change that at the same time, £12, since the coolant was already drained. The alternator voltage regulator, because I broke the old one, broke the plastic clip where it clips into the loom, and that was £23. And most of the time that is the only part of the alternator that fails. The bearings can go and that will be a recon job, but this was a repair job. A brand new clock that actually somewhat works, even though it's decided to lose some of its digits again. I'm going to do a repair on that at some point. £50. They are very expensive, the Traffic Master ones, the correct ones. The earlier Lucas ones are a straight fit. They can be fitted, but they're not the correct ones. And I obtained this one because it was available. If it wasn't, I'd have just got a Lucas one. Rimmer Brothers, I made an order of £50 for a new courtesy light switch, clips, door clips, a coolant label which is curled up as they always do. Just I don't know why I bothered. And a new hand wheel for the lumbar seat adjustment, which was completely missing, which is why I think this car was stolen. I think a few spares were stolen off this car while it was standing. I think people just knocked a few bits off it like it was a scrap car. And then we have a second-hand BMW Siren for £11. Front indicator lenses, £26. Temperature sensor, £15. Driver's wing trim, second-hand one, which was much better. The little piece with the Forever 45 written on it that goes on the front wing, much better example, £15. Although I dare say I shouldn't have paid that. Headlining, £52 all in for the materials, the glue and everything. That would have cost £300 for sure if you'd have got a professional to do it. Getting bored, are you? Don't worry, we're coming to the rest of the list. A new door seal, £25. That was for the passenger front door seal that had split and ripped. Union jacks to go on the quarter panels, those little Union Jack flags, £6. Cheap. A new badge grille, which was completely unnecessary, considering that I've actually swapped the front grille over, £12. A hose radiator top coolant hose, which I repaired because I noticed that there was going to be a hole in it. There really was, for £62 from Rimmer Brothers Genuine MG Rover. A dealership sticker for the back window, completely unnecessary, but a very nice touch, £7. Dynax rust protection, the clear stuff, £42 for 2 cans. Fog light trim, £20. MOT, £50. And then since the MOT, we have fitted a left-hand chrome mirror cap. That was £30, brand new. That's the going rate. Alloy trims, completely unnecessary because I could have kept the old ones. The centre caps on the alloys, £20. Well, it was £18 actually. I don't know why I put 20. Plus the stickers, which I have actually applied to the wheels, which some of you may have seen. That adds the total to about £35 in total. The alloy wheel refurb, which was the only thing that I have not done myself, £165 with a buckled wheel. The brackets for the rear bumpers, kindly supplied by Lee Millwood, for £30. And the last one on the list, which we have done recently, is the coil pack and HT leads, which totaled about £54 all in. Now you might have been adding these scores up, but I will give you the total now. It has come to a grand total of £2,255. You might think I am absolutely crackers and I should have kept an eye on the actual totals. I'll tell you now, there are very few items that were not necessary purchases, like things like dealership window stickers, this sort of thing. That's not necessary. That chrome mirror cap wasn't brilliant, but it was okay. There's things that I've bought cosmetically because it makes the car look better. A few badges here and there. The wheel refurb wasn't entirely necessary, although saying that, there was a buckled wheel apparently, so that wouldn't have been very good for the tyre. So risk of a blowout on all that, so that was all good. But I've done things properly, and there's only a couple of things I had to buy again, like the fuel filter and another timing belt, which I've included in the price there, that I had to go and buy again, and things that broke because I broke them, and things that just got broke as I was working on the car. Naturally, when you put your fingers in too many pies, you start stinging your fingers. That wasn't a very good metaphor, to be honest. But honestly, that's the true sum and cost of restoring. I will use the word restoring because from where it was and where it is now, they are two different cars. Well, essentially, it was underneath the skin, but you had to do a lot of work to find it. So I've paid more in parts to buy the car. Now, if we take the cost of buying the car and the recovery, we're looking at just over £1,750 to restore this car from where it was. Now, you would say with the total cost of buying the car that I could have just bought a Rover 45 for far less than that in probably not too worse a condition. I would argue now that this is actually far better than the majority. I'm not being funny. I've seen a lot of Rover 45s in the last few years from shows and Pride of Longbridge and everything like that. And I'll tell you, this is better. This is better than 90% of them, including some of the MGZS examples. It just is. It just is. Now, the Rover examples are not that valuable because nobody really wants them, apart from if you're a die-hard Rover enthusiast. Even Rover enthusiasts don't want to pay much for them, which is really sad, really. But it's just the way things are. But mine is in the top bracket, 100%. And if I was selling the car tomorrow, I would 100% ask for over £2,000 for it. And I'm not joking. I am not joking. One, because if I did sell it, it would be on the basis that if it didn't sell, I'm not going to lose any sleep because I'll just keep it. But if it does sell, it sells at a good price to somebody who will probably appreciate it for, well, will appreciate it for what it is. And quite frankly, look after it because they've paid a higher price. If you sell a car cheaply, expect some. I'm not being funny to people who buy cars for 800 quid. We all love a bargain. I bought this for 450. But there are people that buy cars under the sub £1,000 category, and they are not going to look after your car. These are not people that you are going to sell your treasured car to. Trust me. And really, on that depressing note, that is why this car will not be sold for another 12 months at least. She's going to be staying with me for at least 12 months. I hazard a guess that it's going to stay with me a bit beyond that, to be honest with you, because I love this car. I really do. The more I drive it, the more I love it. And judging from the reactions I've had from people, I don't think it's worth in any sense selling, because I would not probably receive what I would want for it. Despite the fact you've seen this list, you've seen the episodes, I would not, I would be very surprised if somebody was willing to give me 2,200 for this car. But anyway, that's hypothetical, because quite frankly, I wouldn't sell it. The car owes me too much, and as the result of this episode, it does owe me a lot, and I hope it starts giving it back to me, which it has started doing. It started driving much more nicer as every journey goes on. The car just needs to be used. So on that depressing figure, that is a really depressing figure, because if you add the cost of labour, I couldn't tell you, because I've got to be honest with you, a ballpoint figure is, I would say every single day for about 2 to 3 months, I was working on that car. I did a bit of sacrificing with my social life to get the car done. Put it that way, it was a bit of a compromise, but every day I did at least 1 hour's work on that car for 3 months, every day. So if you add a total of, let's say, 100 days, I give a rough figure here, 100 days of work, probably more than that. I think we're probably looking at way more than that. At 2 to 3 hours a day, let's say 2 hours a day, that would be 200 hours of labour. I know for a fact it's more than that. Let's say 250. 250 hours of labour. Add that up times by 45. And I know some of you are doing the sums right now, but I think that would be an eye-watering price. And when you hear the cost of restoring a car, some, 15, 20, 25,000 pounds, that's why restoring a car costs so much. Garages are not making a mint on restorations. They have to have cars. Classic car restoration firms do not make a mint. They can't do. They've got so many overheads, and there is a pressure on parts, supply, and labour costs, and paying their staff, their mechanics, their specialists, their paint specialists, the welders, whatever is required. I think it has to be a high volume business. You have to have cars going in and out. There is just no way businesses can make a massive sum. I'm sure if there's anyone out there who actually who knows someone who maybe owns a classic car restoration business, you let us know how lucrative it is, because I cannot imagine it being lucrative. because quite frankly, the customer always try and get some pennies off naturally at 15, 20 grand a pop. But you do the maths and you work out what total, so 250 hours, I can't do it in my head right now with this episode, 250 hours of labour, approximately. It could be more, it could be slightly less, but 250 times by the going rate of £45 an hour. I tell you what, £40 an hour, because most garages with restorations would cut the labour down to about 40, maybe 35, but let's say 40, 250 times by 40, and then add that on to £1,800. Let's say 1,800 with parts. 1,800 with parts, and whatever it takes for the man labour, you work that out. You better get your spanners ready, because working on cars is so enjoyable, and you can restore a car for basically £1,800, £2,000, give or take. Take care, guys. See you very soon.